On a day that's meant for reconciliation in South Africa, a voice that really spoke for an entire generation was brutally and publicly silenced. We're going to talk about the story of Warrick, the man the nation knew and loved as DJ Warras, and his shocking murder right in the heart of Johannesburg.
Right after it happened, his family put out a statement that just perfectly captured the whole country's grief. They said their beloved Warrick, a father, a son, a brother, was, quote, taken in the most senseless way. And that one line, well, it really sets the stage for a story that is as heartbreaking as it is infuriating.
So let's start with the assassination itself. And let's be really clear about this. This was not a robbery gone wrong. This was a calculated public execution. And the timing? It happened on December 16th, South Africa's Day of Reconciliation. I mean, the cruel irony of that, for a man who is fighting to bring some peace and order back to his city, is just unbelievable.
Okay, so look at how this all went down. It was chillingly efficient. Shortly after noon, in a busy city center, Warras parks his car. 3 men walk up to him. One of them opens fire. 4 shots. And then they just leave. They don't take his wallet, they don't take his phone, they don't take his car. They just take his life, and they run. You know, that kind of precision, it points to something way more sinister than just random street crime.
And that is exactly what the authorities believe. Johannesburg's public safety MMC, Mgini Chwaku, he came right out and said it. This was a hit. The CCTV footage, the fact that nothing was stolen, the whole way they did it, it all screams that this was a contract killing. It was meant to send a message.
So, the big question is, why was he a target? And to really get that, you have to understand who he was. Which brings us to our next part, the voice of a generation. Because you see, Warrick was so much more than just a DJ. He was a genuine cultural force.
I mean, just look at the sheer range of his influence. He was a pioneer on youth radio, he hosted iconic TV shows, he had a podcast with a totally fearless voice, he was an entrepreneur, and maybe most importantly, he was a devoted dad to 3 young kids. This is a guy who wasn't just in the culture, he was actively shaping it.
And this really shows you his impact. The government's own Department of Sport, Arts, and Culture said his work captured the very soul of a generation. He connected with people because he was one of them. He reflected their hopes, their sense of humor, and all their anxieties.
And here's the crucial thing. It was all real. His sister, Nicole, she confirmed it. There was no act. The outspoken, fearless guy you heard on the microphone, that was the exact same man in real life. He never pretended to be someone he wasn't. And that authenticity is what made him so beloved by the public. And, as it turns out, a major threat to criminals.
Which leads us right here, to the dangerous work that police are convinced got him killed. This part of his life had absolutely nothing to do with music and everything to do with fighting for justice. This is about his fight for Johannesburg's heart.
Now, to really grasp the kind of danger he was in, you have to understand what hijacked buildings are. Basically, these are properties, usually in the inner city, that have been completely taken over by criminal gangs. They collect rent illegally, run all sorts of criminal operations out of them, and essentially create these lawless zones inside the city.
And this is exactly what Warras was fighting. His security company wasn't just hiring out guards. No, according to his business partner, he was creating a whole blueprint to legally and safely take these buildings back for the rightful owners. He was killed right outside Zambezi House, the very building he was working to free from criminals.
And the threat he was facing? It wasn't some vague possibility. It was immediate, and it was terrifyingly real. Just look at this number, 5. That's how many protection orders Warras had taken out against specific people who were threatened to kill him. Let me say that again. These weren't anonymous threats. These were known people, named in legal documents. The system knew he was a target.
His business associate, Nicole Nelson, she put it perfectly. He wasn't just taking on small-time thugs. He was disrupting a huge, profitable criminal enterprise. He ruffled the feathers of people in the underworld, powerful people who are deeply embedded. He was costing them a lot of money, and for that, they put a price on his head.
So in the aftermath, a nation mourns. The shock of his murder sent this ripple effect across the entire country. Tributes just poured in for the man affectionately known by his nickname, the Shady Lurker.
And the reaction was this powerful mix of deep personal grief and political outrage. His family lost their heart and anchor.
Political leaders from different parties called it an attack on every citizen who stands up to crime. Mzansi Magic mourned a creative force. And then, his sister made this heartbreaking plea for people to please stop sharing the horrific videos of his final moments online.
And this all brings us to a much bigger and tougher conversation: South Africa's crime crisis. Because as personal and devastating as this loss was, you can't look at the murder of DJ Warras in a vacuum. His death is a symptom of a much larger national tragedy.
So it forces us to ask a really tough question, one that South Africans are dealing with every single day. Just how bad is the problem of violent crime? Well, the answer, it's staggering.
63. That is the average number of people murdered in South Africa every single day. Just let that sink in for a second. While the murder of a beloved celebrity makes all the headlines, he is one of dozens of victims on any given day. It's a grim statistic that just lays bare a nation in crisis.
But there is defiance in the face of all that darkness. The assassin's goal was simple: silence a voice and scare anyone else who dared to fight back. But the public's vow, and you can see it right here, is just as clear. They are gravely mistaken. The fight for Johannesburg's heart, the fight that Warras died for, is not going to die with him. And that leaves us with one last vital question. DJ Warras was a patriot. He fought and he died for a better, safer country. His story has shocked an entire nation. But when the challenges are this huge, what will it actually take for the story of one person to inspire real, lasting change?